Today we have the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Fawaz Sous, the founder and CEO of OCTA Properties and a seasoned real estate professional with over 20 years of experience. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for inviting us today.
Pleasure.
Why don't you walk us through the journey of OCTA Properties and how the company has grown over the years?
Sure. As a team that formed OCTA, I would say the senior core team, we all come from very extensive roles that we led in the last 20 years across major developers, predominantly in the UAE, specifically in Dubai. Myself, I have a little bit of international, exposure for developers in Dubai, but in different countries across the globe. We come as seniors together, forming OCTA to, in a simple term, continue what we do for the big developers, offer exactly the services that we used to do collectively for, I would say, upcoming developers, mid-sized companies, international developers, and these are our clientele, if you want. The idea behind it was we felt that there is a big gap between what new developers or international developers require when it comes to the front end of development and what's been done and the assumptions on the services that they need to do themselves in-house or they can contract with. So we felt that this gap is good enough for us to form a company, grow it, and lead that domain in Dubai. I would say since we formed OCTA in 2021, we have managed to lead that domain where, again, we are a development management company that provides soft services to the developer, where we sit between the developer and the entire real estate market, offering services on the back end, front end, agents engagement, marketing, ID services, a collective of services that a mid-size or a small developer or a new developer would feel is needed in a very busy market like Dubai.
So OCTA is a very interesting name. Why did you think that you would like to name that your company?
OCTA was selected as a name for several reasons. I would say the main two. OCTA represents the number 8, and 8 is a very accepted number across multiple cultures, traditions. It offers lots of prosperity and richness, and it's very related. Octagon is related to real estate and generally as a symbol. Besides, also there is a personal angle to it. I was born and raised in Dubai, and back in the 70s, my late father has incorporated a company.
Okay.
And he called it Octanorm.
Oh, okay.
And I felt and it was a different industry. However, I felt it's nice to keep the legacy of that name towards what I do. I always had that in me growing up. And it is 4 letters only.
Right.
And it's easy to remember once you hear it. And it looks very good on buildings also. And billboards.
So it's like, it works in all ways for you.
Exactly.
We're sitting in this beautiful office of yours, and I was mentioning to you off camera as well, it's a beautiful, beautiful office.
Thank you.
What was the reason that you decided to move into this particular space?
So initially we started the setup in a meeting room, I would say 3 meeting rooms in the Ritz-Carlton and the AFC. We grew from there to 6 months later to our initial office in Opus, which was around 4,000 square foot of area. And as any business, you run out of space, you grow out of it, and you need to move on. We've looked at different places in Dubai, and given the fact now that business is booming, things are going in the right direction in Dubai, accessibility to some areas is truly an issue. parking is a true issue, especially in Business Bay. So we felt we had to be in a place where it's very accessible, it's upcoming, it's very employee friendly, parking availability, and most importantly is the prestige of being next to excellent neighbors, excellent developers, names, and it gives the easiness for our clientele to manage their access, come in, enjoy an easy in and out experience with OCTA. So we felt this is the right place, upcoming, and it's, as you see, it's a very dynamic area in the business business park of Dubai Hills, and it's creating lots of tractions for us. Right. And we got the space again. There's a big scarcity in space, office space, and Grade A office space.
You were mentioning that you've entered the market around 2021, if I'm not mistaken.
We've incorporated the company in 21. I always felt, that this is something that we take very seriously, is we don't accept the fact that we are new.
That's great.
Yeah. We took exactly the same attitude. We used to do it for bigger companies.
Right.
Previously, I was with two major developers, Damak for 13 years, and then just shy of 4 years with Emar as head of sales. And we said, listen, we refuse the fact that we're new, so we take it slow. No, we went in and we acted our size, and that paid off.
I mean, that's great. And I think that's one of the main reasons why so many big brands have been associating with you. And talking specifically about branded residence, that sector particularly has grown exponentially in the last, I think, possibly 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. And your brand has been associated with the big names that have been launched recently. So what is your perspective on this entire boom, to say, about the branded residences market in Dubai?
I think Dubai has always been a leader in branded residence since the early days, by the way. We're talking as early as, let's say, 2004. In Dubai has always led the branded residence domain in Dubai. We had very good experiences back in the past with brands. We had very bad experiences in Dubai. And myself and the team, given the fact that we worked in an organization that believed in branded residence, we know the value of branded residence and what it brings in for an end user investor. There are great numbers that support this on capital appreciation or yields. I think what's happening though is there is a very big excessive number of brands entering the market. I feel it's becoming a little bit dangerous and crowded. And it's very simple for me. The fact is, lots of brands have felt they've lost time not entering the market. That's why they're all coming in. I feel that it is not right to engage with so-called developers who do not understand how to bring a brand into Dubai, how to respect that brand, how to convert that brand into a true lifestyle experience.
Right.
And this is unfortunately happening in some cases. But for us as OCTA, yes, you are right. We've dealt with many in the past. We take it very seriously, onboarding the brand and making sure that identity or the DNA of the brand is truly reflective in what we do. Otherwise, there will be lots of disappointment on the delivery of the project.
Right.
It has to be very clear. What are we offering? How are we offering it? What is the benefit? How do we get that status out of that brand? At the same time, respecting the brand and ensuring that brand doesn't get affected, because in real estate, it's permanent. It's not a hotel room that you sleep in and forget about.
Right.
It's permanent. People will live in it. They'll talk about this brand in and out.
Right.
So we're conscious of that. That's why I'm very happy to say that the brands that we do business with have repetitively worked with us, because they've seen also the value, the way we do business, the kind of control we take over their DNA being embedded into a real estate.
Right.
Yeah.
So, as you mentioned, real estate is nothing less than a dream, and people aspire to achieve that dream.
True.
And that's why they put in maybe their years and years of savings to achieve that.
True.
And from that perspective, when you talk about a branded residence, what should a buyer look at when he or she is looking to invest in a branded property so that he doesn't face a debacle or a failure?
I think in branded residence, it comes in different forms. Could be a fashion brand or a lifestyle brand or a hospitality brand that is a name that is known. And the association is very simple, where a buyer looks into having a status and a service out of this brand. The status has to be reflective of what goes into the real estate. And as a buyer, you need to, very importantly, from the minute you look into branded residence, ask for what are the elements of the brand embedded in the real estate development. And that could be in the design aspects of the amenities, the experience that you utilize as a buyer, or sorry, as a tenant, or as a owner of that unit. How do you experience the brand from the very outside, from the look and feel of the building, all the way to the common areas, all the way to your apartment? These are things that the buyer should be asking ahead of making a decision. And this should be reflected in the agreements with the developer. And that is very clear in the specs of the units, design reflection, let's say service agreements, post-handover agreements, should be very clear. And we make sure as OCTA, any brand is very clear about this, and the elements are very detailed in the agreement. Otherwise, in some cases, and this is happening today, you'll end up with a building that looks good, but doesn't have the identity of the brand eventually. And that's a disappointment, and it fades out after a while.
Right.
Yeah.
You recently mentioned that you'll be overseeing close to 14 properties by mid next year in terms of branded residences.
Yeah.
So how, as a group, you plan to achieve that, and can you just shed light on these projects
Well,
and how is it going forward?
These are contracts or agreements that we've already signed with these developers.
Okay.
That we are planning to launch in the next now 7 months till June of next year, and the plan is already in place. It's our role as a development management company that manages the sale, marketing, also manages the initial process of onboarding that brand, ensuring the identity, as I said, is embedded in the ID and the project itself. So we are in that planning phase now.
Wow.
And these areas are already defined, they're already out there. We are in the planning phase, so it's very clear for us that we roll it out throughout that June, keeping in mind that we do it in a way where it doesn't conflict with each other. We know also which one to go first and the sequence of it. So also we are catering branded residence for a very big spectrum of buyers. This is not only high-end brands, this is high-end, this is mid-range, this is functional, this is hospitality. So we're not focused only on one particular segment. And that's very important in a market like this,
right,
which has been activated on across different spectrums.
So you mentioned earlier as well in our conversation that there's a huge influx of brands which are entering the market, and now we have, Fortunately, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And in terms of the developers as well, we have developers entering from Europe and even a lot of other countries as well. So, when you sit down with a client and when you even approach developers, how do you ensure that there's minimal risk, or how do you do your due diligence, per to say?
For us, as I said, because we complete a developer cycle, we do the front end, we expect a minimum of a developer of have developed in the past, preferably in the UAE, preferably in Dubai, obviously, because that, development is a very local business.
Right.
And developers or development management companies don't cross borders a lot around the world. You can always have the ambition, but that is a model that has failed repeatedly because it's a very local business. So we prefer that that developer has at least developed in Dubai, went through the pain of developing in Dubai.
Okay.
If not, then we look into the second thing, which is the financial capacity. Second, the technical capacity. So many examples of very solid developers who understand technical, who are willing to learn the codes in Dubai, the process in Dubai, and Dubai is much easier than around the world in terms of going through the process, as long as you have the team to do it. So part of the due diligence is to understand, do you have the team? And do you have the financial capacity? And do you have the commitment to Dubai? And if we don't feel that that's there, we unfortunately turn down business, because at the end we know, with all the good intentions that someone could have in the tedious work of developing, people might get into issues. That's on selecting the developer. Again, we accept, because of our business model, that not all developers we do business with are fully equipped. They need our services. That's why they come to us in the first place. But also on the client side, how do we protect our clients and agencies and real estate brokerage that deal with us? Is the terms of engagement has to be also extremely transparent as per the law. And most importantly is the construction, the payments that the clients pay are based on actual construction milestones, which unfortunately, I would say 95% of developers don't do. They do it based on time-based. We do it on construction. So as you construct with a certain percentage that the land department or RERA certified, then a payment is due. So it works with de-risking the client and the agents who's involved and having that control somehow, versus also doing our own due diligence on the other side.
Right. So the market is evolving very rapidly, and not only the brand residences sector, even the other segments are growing. So what are the current challenges you see that the real estate market is facing, and how do you see we can overcome those challenges as we move forward?
I truly think the policies that Dubai has, which is easy entry to business across all industries, and this was taken long time ago, and even more since COVID. There was a conscious decision to give everyone in Dubai an opportunity to enter Dubai business, form business, incorporate business, get into business very easily. Has created a very big drive for developers, landowners, I shouldn't say also investors or opportunists, to come in and try the development. And that is risky, in my opinion. These are extremely risky things. There has to be a minimum threshold for allowing someone, even if you have the money, even if you have the will, there has to be a minimum acceptable technical background or demonstrated technical background or associated partners to allow you to develop in Dubai. Because the number, in my opinion, is massive now. And that's what worries me about Dubai today, is because one thing was positive, which is allowing people to enter the market easier, have created that huge influx of investors, I would say, rather than developers, to come and give it a shot. Buy a land and suddenly you understand development and then go through the process. That is a bit risky for me. There should be a little bit more prerequisites.
So where do you see OCTA Properties now, maybe 5 years down the line?
I think, I truly think OCTA, with what we're doing and the traction we're getting, we are building a company for a very good market, low market, And our business, I see that our services, regardless of the market, we've built it that way, can sustain any kind of market. And keeping that in mind, in 5 years, I would say the aim is to have OCTA become a very serious developer in town, which competes with very big names, which has great partnerships, repetitive partnerships. We believe in partnerships. We've been doing partnerships from day one. And from a development management, we continue to do what we do, but obviously the main aim is to become our own, developers that we want to be. And we already have plans in place. We already activated a couple of plans, which we're launching 2 developments as early as Q1 of next year.
So can you give us a little insight on those projects?
Yes, sure. The first one is a project that we're developing in Dubai Islands with a very well-known brand. Fortunately, cannot announce it now.
Okay.
It will be announced the 7th of January.
Okay.
For contractual reasons. And then we have a co-development in Ras Al Khaimah. Again, a very large, substantial project. Okay. So this will be the core and the initial steps that we take into development.
Wow.
Side by side of our core business, which is the development management services we do.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have plans to expand beyond UAE? Is that also on the radar?
As at this point, again, as I mentioned earlier, being someone who has gone through that pain of trying to develop in other countries when I was with bigger companies, I truly believe development is very local. We are very strong in Dubai. We are very strong in the UAE. We plan to expand very soon to Abu Dhabi. We are in Ras Al Khaimah already.
Okay.
But beyond that, at this point, we have no intention to go outside the UAE, because we're consciously aware to do that, you need a very local partner that helps you. Otherwise, it's a very big risk. Yeah.
So how does OCTA plan to stay ahead of the curve? Yeah. And moving forward, what do you see, or what are your predictions for the Dubai's real estate market?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, that question is being asked all the time, not for me, for anyone. I think if you look at purely from a numbers perspective in Dubai, purely numbers, and you look at the level of transactions, you look at the type of transactions and the scarcity in product within that transactions, and Dubai is very transparent. The DLD announces it down to the number of, the unit number. So you know exactly what's happening, and this is very important. I think 21, 22, and half of 23 was a completely different market where very solid fundamentals of that market have boomed Dubai, changed the market altogether, in the sense where, our traditional markets who buy into Dubai have also evolved dramatically. We have new buyers, new set of buyers, end user buyers moving into Dubai. And we are fortunate that every 6 months we have a trend. So it could be a trend of high-end property seekers. Then the next one could be mid-range, could be offices. Today there is a trend on offices. If you look at that trend till mid of 23, that market has fundamentally changed Dubai altogether. So it's not the Dubai that we know prior to 2020, for sure. There is a different reason for people buying, and that base has put us today into a different clientele or reasons for buying in Dubai from mid of 23 till now. The only thing that worries me this year, truly, if you look at the numbers again, we are driven by numbers, is the off-plan versus ready. The ratios are not as the last 3 years. And that's a bit of a worry. And that caters to what I was trying to say. Many developers are coming in, lots of options are available, And I suspect this will continue in 2025. So as long as we try to deliver faster and provide a balance between the ratio, that will be a healthier position for Dubai. I don't suspect Dubai will have the same trends prior to 2020. As I said, that base that was done has changed Dubai altogether.
Right.
And we feel it with the clientele, with the reasons, with the payments, with the default rate is extremely healthy. Extremely healthy. My only worry is the excessive off-plan versus ready. That's a bit of a challenge we need to balance, and balance quickly by delivering faster.
And how does OCTA plan to stay ahead of all of this and ensure that they deal with the right people, they give the customers what they require?
Well, again, it's all about experience. The most important thing that any development management company or a developer could really stay ahead is if you understand the trends and prepare 6 months to 8 months ahead of everyone. We do this.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go in a very blind perspective of things are okay, or we're launching, and you don't plan at least 6 months ahead, you might get in a position where whatever you offer becomes obsolete, because Dubai changes a lot and changes very fast.
Yeah.
Super fast. So our key is, if we know, I'll give you an example, if we know big developers are coming in different areas offering, then we know that there will be a very big focus on this sector. We move against it. And from now we plan something else. And we focus on something else, because that gives us an edge when this happens.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think there couldn't be a better note to end our conversation. Thank you so much for having us here
My
and for this
pleasure.
insightful conversation.
My pleasure. Thanks very much for the visit.